All I had was a dream of victory, glory, and truth. It took me 3 straight days to build a team capable of achieving it. We need to rewind back to July of 2024, where I was locked into one of the hardest ROM hacks that I've ever tackled. To be clear, this isn't a run and bun or a radical red, where you're using handcraft teams going up against advanced AI, which gives even the best trainers a true challenge. This is a completely different beast. Welcome to the Pit of 100 Trials. You wake up in a cave, with no items, no Pokemon, and no exit. In front of you is a briefcase, and a ladder leading you further down the pit. This is floor 1, and you have 99 floors to go. The challenge is simple. Survive all 100 floors to earn your escape, using anything and everything you can scrounge together. To start, you get to choose 3 Pokemon with semi-random sets, similar to the Battle Factory, one of the many Battle Frontier challenges. The starting moves are predetermined, but the nature and ability are completely randomized. As you descend, each floor contains anywhere from 1 to 4 trainers, each with randomized teams that always have some small edge on you, whether that be legendaries and mythicals on the team, insane items like Bright Powder and Quick Claw, or worse, both. Oh, Groudon at least won't screw me over this time like he did last time. No, oh, it's... What?! Really, I get Quick Clawed. Like this hat... Yeah, sure. Yeah, sure. Trainers always have the same amount of Pokemon as you, and with the levels corresponding to the floor, it's almost impossible to keep up. Every 5 floors, you're graced with a rest stop, complete with a Pokemon Center and a Pokemart at your disposal. But of course, you can't buy any healing items. All you can buy are TMs, vitamins, evolution items, and some niche consumables. With everything stacked against you, your only advantages are your wits and hopefully a solid plan. Thankfully, I had both. While this is a unique premise in the large world of Pokemon ROM hacks, if you've ever played a roguelike before or any sort of endless challenge, this premise will be more than familiar. A winning run with the hardest settings in any roguelike requires deep knowledge, pre-game strategy, on-the-fly thinking, resource management, and of course, a healthy chunk of good luck. To be fair, learning Pokemon mechanics is the easiest part, especially if you have Bulbapedia open in another tab. What gets difficult is the risk management. Use too many healing items, or use up all your revives, and you might not find any more until it's too late. If you try to be too conservative with your items, and hoard and hoard and hoard, you might wipe with a full bag. Now, taking all this into consideration, I of course had to make it even harder for myself. When you enter the pit, you only have a few customization options to consider. First, you choose between singles or double battles. As always, I went with singles. This was for familiarity and a few other reasons which will become clear soon. Second, you pick which Pokedex to work with. The Hoenn, Unova, or Paldea Dex. This corresponds to, of course, Gen 3, Gen 5, or the Gen 9 national dexes. I picked Gen 5, Unova, mainly to limit the variance of enemy Pokemon and abuse very specific Generation 5 mechanics. Thirdly, you can choose to restrict yourself from acquiring legendary and mythical Pokemon, but you can take it even one step further. If you enable Hard Mode, not only will you be restricting yourself from acquiring legendaries and their ilk, but your XP share is reduced from 75% to 50%. And instead of manually setting your EVs, you are only limited to vitamins and, of course, natural gains. This is the scariest part of Hard Mode in the pit. Every death weighs you down even more, as every bit of XP counts. With also being forced to hard switch your other Pokemon in just to get equal XP, your risk factor reaches critical levels. At the time, Hard Mode was seen as an impossible endeavor, with most runs, including my own, never reaching floor 50. In fact, at the time, the second best record for Hard Mode was mine, at floor 38. The record? Floor 42. My only goal when turning on my stream that day was just to hit floor 50. But but with this being my first time using the Generation 5 rule set, it was anyone's guess if I would fall flat or even rise to the challenge. Now that the stage is set, let's dive into the nearly 8-hour journey to claim the hard mode record and potentially even achieve the first ever hard mode victory. For any of you who are familiar with competitive Pokemon in Generation 5, you know one type of Pokemon dominated every format, from OU to Monotype to even the bottom of NU, Dragon types. With access to gems, huge stat blocks, plenty of new utility items, and tons of new strong abilities and moves being spread around, Dragon-type Pokemon had their very own renaissance in the early 2010s. Although Steel types naturally resisted Dragon, they had a hard time standing up against mons like Garchomp, Haxorus, Kyurem White, Kyurem Black, and even regular Kyurem, also Dragonite. And I mean, even Druddigon as well, kind of. Oh, and of course, Latios and Latias. Okay, I think you get the idea. Steel types could barely do their job back then, let alone standing up against all the Pokemon designed to beat Steel types. There was a huge problem. But that's a story for another time. Now, this is where Dragonite enters. You want me to nickname it? I can nickname it for you. What do you want the nickname to be? Big Pickle? Alright, bud. Ah. There we go, Big Pickle. Sorry, this is where Big Pickle enters. To be fair, Big Pickle is not the perfect Dragonite, and not even shiny to warrant the nickname, but with a lot of careful planning and a tailor-made squad, Big Pickle was set to turn the trainers into training fodder. As of Generation 5, Dragonite has the hidden ability Multiscale, which reduces incoming damage by 50% as long as you're full HP. Combine that with the Dragon and Flying typing, preset perfect IVs, and an impish nature boosting Big Pickle's natural defenses, it's virtually impossible that I get one shot in a fair fight. Big asterisk on fair fight. While there are always exceptions to the rule in the wide world of Pokemon, a bulky Dragonite was still my best chance to surmount this Sisyphean endeavor. Alongside Big Pickle, I also nabbed Skill Link Cloyster and a Magic Guard Alakazam, completing my starting trio. Now you know the squad, but what was the plan? My theory approaching this run was to go full offense, as coordinated defense was, well, extremely hard to come by. With no legendaries at my disposal, relying on some specific regenerator Pokemon and maybe a Skarmory, that's not a winning strategy. If I wanted any chance to get that record, I needed to brute force my way through any and every team. This idea specifically came to me in, ironically, my aforementioned second place run. In said run, for the last few floors, I briefly had a multi-scale Dragonite. And after seeing its move pool and its overall potential, it all clicked for me. Of course, I can't prepare properly for every possible combination of items, moves, and Pokemon. That's trillions of permutations. But what if I can ignore them altogether? Sometimes the best defense is a great offense. Dragonite gets access to Dragon Dance, which boosts its attack and speed. It also gets Roost, which heals 50% of its HP and briefly disables its flying typing. Thanks to my natural bulky stats and multi-scale, I can safely spam Dragon Dance, knowing that I don't have to worry about getting one shot from a stray critical hit, or from an overly strong move boosted by a choice item or life orb, which I just can't see or prepare for. In between these boosts, I can roost off any damage I actually do take, and once my attack and speed are doubled or even tripled, I go on the offense and one-shot the enemy trainer's entire team. With this strategy, I can mitigate so much risk and so much variance, but it comes at a cost. Of course, no strategy is perfect. There are a very few select Pokemon who completely shut me down. And we will run into them eventually. Oh, we will. So I will need to rely on the rest of my team to hold the line. With the nerfed XP gains and putting most fights entirely on the shoulders of Big Pickle, my team will be severely underleveled. And if Big Pickle faints at any time, there's a good chance my run will be completely over. Our first goal will be surviving the first few floors and getting to the move tutor, hopefully in one piece. The move tutor appears every 10 floors, and his services are the key to get this run to my goal, floor 50. Considering I have a decent level advantage and 3 fully evolved Pokemon already, this should be pretty easy. That's what I'm thinking, at least until I start running into the likes of Kyurem, Fion, Confusion Spammers, and plenty of other just painful combinations. After every floor, you get to pick up 1 to 3 random items, and after that early gauntlet, I burned through full heals, potions, and a revive, all before floor 10, which is grim, to say the least. While I normally would take this opportunity to complain about how bad my RNG is, I got a very early blessing, with an amulet coin falling into my lap on floor 7. This is huge. The amulet coin doubles all of my winnings from trainer battles, as long as the Pokemon holding it makes an appearance. And since Big Pickle is always leading every single battle, we're gonna make a lot of money together. After that roller coaster of emotions, my cortisol levels finally returned to normal as we arrived at floor 10. Getting us the first step in the grand plan. But with my bag being nearly empty and Alakazam already behind on experience, this starting roster was already planting the seeds of doubt in my mind. Being floor 10, I have access to the first move tutor, whose services are integral for my strategy to work. I quickly overhaul Dragonite's moveset with some truly great options, like Roost, Thunder Punch, and Fire Punch, all for free. But we still need to scrape together $8,000 to finish the puzzle and teach Dragon Dance to Big Pickle. You see, anything useful in your run costs money, which you can only really get from battling trainers at $500 a win. You could also sell off your precious items for pennies on the dollar, but with the amulet coin, I thankfully don't have to resort to such desperate measures. Trainers now give me 1,000 to win, so all I need to do is just be patient. The move tutor also has some definitely not free services, offering egg moves and special moves at $10,000. While a steep price, egg and tutor options tend to be quite strong sets of moves, and you can't access them otherwise as they're locked behind mechanics that are completely removed from the pit. This is where Cloyster comes in, as with its ability Skill Link, Cloyster's multi-hit moves are guaranteed to hit 5 times. So with normally underwhelming moves like Icicle Spear and Rock Blast, I can do massive damage. Since these are both egg moves for Cloyster, I want to unlock them. But I ran into a problem. You get 1 egg move for 10 grand. That's such a scam. What? That is the biggest scam. It's like sending your kid to college. 10 grand a semester. All for Shell Smash Icicle Spear. Yeah, that's right. Each special move costs $10,000 to learn. So Cloyster went from a $10,000 investment to a $20,000 investment. And better yet, I was entirely locked out of the one move I needed for it, Shell Smash. Shell Smash is an amazing move, as it gives the user an immediate massive offensive boost, doubling its attack, special attack, and speed, at the cost of slightly lowering your defenses. Combine that with Skill Link, I can obliterate scary dragons and scary ice types that Dragonite did not want to face. The problem was that Shell Smash is technically illegal to learn, as it can only learn it when it evolves from Shelter, not after. So, with Alakazam quickly becoming deadweight, and Cloyster costing $20,000 just for decent moves, even more pressure was put on Big Pickle to carry this run. Time to get to work. As I chewed through floors 11 through 25, my cash stack quickly ballooned into the tens of thousands. I can't emphasize enough how good it is to get an amulet coin so early in the run. Doubling my average floor income from $1,500 to $3,000 is game-changing. This lets me buy TMs, vitamins, and those super expensive special moves that much faster. Now, this was my first time playing Gen 5 mode, and with me being used to all my Gen 9 mode runs with modern-day Pokemon, modern-day mechanics, and modern-day items, I set aside a few grand to switch my Pokemon's natures with special mints, which you can obtain in the newer games. Well, obviously, mints didn't exist in Gen 5, 15 years ago, so obviously I can't acquire them. That means that unfortunately we're stuck with Impish Dragonite, Timid Cloyster, and Naive Alakazam. Great. Now that I had even more money to throw around, I needed to commit to what my Dragonite set would be for the rest of the run. With Dragon Dance and Roost, I was perfectly set up to, well, set up. All I needed was the right coverage. If this was Pokemon Showdown, let's say, and I was building to play against competitive teams, piloted by real human beings, at least I think they are, I would have gone with Outrage and Earthquake. But for the Pit of 100 trials, I went with Dragon Claw and Fire Punch. Why? Well, 2 reasons. First reason is type coverage. While Dragon and Ground type attacks theoretically cover everything, there's a few edge cases where I struggle against Pokemon like Skarmory, Bronzong, and the rare, but deadly, Unaware Swoobat. All these mons are just examples that force me to use more Dragon Dances, and even worse, more attacking moves. You see, Power Points are your most valuable resource, especially when your strategy revolves around just one Pokemon. With Dragon Claw and Fire Punch maxed out, not only do I get more reliable coverage on the most annoying Steel types, I have nearly doubled the available PP, and no confusion drawback from Outrage to worry about either. This proved to be the best decision that I ever made in the pit, as having up to 24 Fire Punches over a max of 16 Earthquakes translates to 8 more KOs, and from floors 25 to 50, that's equivalent to 2 full trainer battles. I also liked Fire Punch over Earthquake for one major reason: Ice types. Obviously, Dragonite is not the perfect Pokemon, and has 2 glaring weaknesses: Dragons and Ice types. While some dragons are extremely easy to deal with thanks to using my own Dragon Claw, starting a battle against any Ice type is potentially run-ending. Multi-skill can only help me tank one Ice move, at best, so having Fire Punch available is actually a safer option overall. As we descended to floor 25, the run had officially been going for 1 hour, and I promptly took a snack break and got back into it. Other than to not wipe, our new goals were to hoard as many ethers, elixirs, and status heals as we can possibly find, and hopefully, eventually find either a lucky egg or the magnanimous leftovers. For those unfamiliar, Lucky Egg boosts the amount of XP that you earn, and with hard mode reducing your XP share to 50%, the Lucky Egg is invaluable in any hard mode run. The leftovers would be an immense help when given to Big Pickle, as the residual healing it provides lets me rely on Roost a lot less. This also means I have to use less potions and other healing items overall, saving more for more scary situations or to sell back for more gold. For this run to have some legs, I need to find one or hopefully both of these items before it's too late. Items aside, I'm not stuck with just Big Pickle, Cloyster, and Alakazam forever. Every 25 floors, I get to peek into the briefcase and add a new Pokemon to my team. While a lot of options can feel underwhelming, there's always a great addition to your team if you look in the right places. After combing through my options, I decide to grab the biggest, baddest, beefiest Pokemon of the lot. Welcome to the dream team, Slacking. Sure, my wish was, a beefy Steel type, but I thought Slacking would suffice. I mean, Slacking will need some TMs and some levels, probably some extra items just to start pulling his weight, but at the end of the day, Slacking is still a fantastic stat stick with a BST or base stat total of 670, rivaling even the strongest legendaries. Sure, it's also gated by the worst ability in Pokemon history, but I can work around that. Knee deep into the run, Big Pickle is still my #1 priority, and I need to start investing into him ASAP to see some returns. Thanks to that amulet coin boosting all my income for the last, 20 floors, I have 11 grand to play with. I can either buy 2 PP maxes and get 9 more Dragon Claws and 12 more Dragon Dances in between heals, or I could invest directly into Dragonite's stats. With hard mode giving me no control over my EV allocation, and with the random Pokemon I'm facing giving me, random EVs, I was destined to end up with plenty of wasted stat points if I didn't do something soon. I made a hard choice and spent most of my cash on HP boosting vitamins. Why? All I'm doing is setting up and healing. Theoretically, with my coverage and with my level advantage, I shouldn't ever need to have investments. I could simply just Dragon Dance again. With Roost, I want more HP to get more value out of Roost, which gives me more times to Dragon Dance. You see what I mean? I already have 111 attack. If I'm adding 100 EVs, which translates into maybe an extra 10 points by level 50, sure, with +2, +3, it gets multiplied pretty heavy, but more HP means more Roost value, which I think is more important. I don't want to do math, I want to do Pokemon. Yeah. And I mean, sure, this won't have any immediate effect, but those EVs will translate to 25 bonus hit points at level 100, which, believe me, that adds up. Since I'm still facing only roughly 30 to 40 Pokemon until my next rest stop, I felt comfortable putting off the PP maxes for another maybe 5 or even 10 floors just to invest in more stats. With 3 other strong Pokemon, I should be breezing through this, no? At least so I thought. Oh, I should try to be stealing stuff. What am I doing? Ferrothorn? Okay, well, that's fine. Let's steal something from Ferrothorn. I can Encore it to Iron Defense forever, but that's probably not good. Silver Powder. Well, is it all this has? Alright, we're just gonna fish for a crit with Cloyster. This is gonna be very long and boring. Please, crit him. Okay, bro. Fuck. Oh, I forgot. If there's a heal after this fight? Yeah, exactly. That's why I'm playing it like this. This is the exact reason I'm playing it like this. Because I don't want to be burning ethers and all sorts of nonsense just to speed up my time. I'd rather burn 5 minutes of my time and like fish for crits and let mons get fainted and stuff like that. Like, it's not a big deal to me. I'm surprised Icicle Spear never crit. That's the funny part to me. But you know, it happens. I hit him like 20 times, and he's getting like crit after crit after crit. Classic. Okay, now it's out of pin missiles, so it just has a couple of iron defenses left. I might kill it before it actually starts whatchamacallit? Struggling. Beautiful. The pit just has a funny way of reminding me of my hubris. With this Ferrothorn wake-up call, I immediately bought 2 PP maxes at the next rest stop. With Big Pickle juiced up on vitamins, and who knows what else at this point, I now had time to worry about the rest of my team. While Alakazam could theoretically pick up a revenge kill in the right scenario, its defenses are paper. It's too frail to switch into anything, and obviously we want nothing to die. So Alakazam is basically a bench warmer. Good for you, sport. Cloyster can deal with the ice types pretty well thanks to Rock Blast, or the dragons with Icicle Spear, but without Shell Smash, it's not sweeping a team anytime soon. I need to hope for a Steel type on floor 50, or at worst, floor 75 if I wanted any chance of surviving the future onslaughts of Curums, Frostlass, Bearticks, and Lapras. Laprases? Lapri? Lapras, I guess. Anyways, it took me nearly an hour to get from floor 30 to floor 40, but I was too focused on this impending record to notice the ever-increasing time requirements for each floor. Remember, the record was 42, and out of every Pokemon I could have faced, this is what I ran into. Got a lot of nerves right now. Okay. Me, I'm like, oh, I'm scared. This run could end at any second. And it's like, oh, here's Wormadam grass. Like, oh, okay. Anyways, I gotta feed the kitties. Meow. Meow. As the record came and went, I didn't even react. I had no time to celebrate. I was too locked in. This run had some legs, and I needed to not walk, not sprint, but use those legs for a marathon never before seen in Pokemon. That, or I was just too distracted by bad RNG. Flatter, really? Come on. Enough with the hurt yourself in confusion. It's like so unnecessary, man. Dude, enough. Just break through for once. That's so gross. This is so gross. How am I this unlucky? Oh, are you fucking kidding? Just break through. Holy fuck. About to get our 5th Pokemon. Ooh, Cleffa should also be a absolutely free setup fodder. Dude, the amount of confusion in this game is really disgusting. Melodic has Attract, which is scary. But everything else it has is like basically 0 damage. So, it's fun. So to +3. There's the Attract. Nothing wrong with that. No longer Pride Month, so I can't complain. Based. There's the Skarmory, and this is why we keep Fire Punch. Face tanks +3. Oh, it was because it was rain. That's why. Oh, that makes sense. I would have died normally. Meowth. That's right. Dude, Gen 5 is actually so easy. What? There's Palkia. Check this out. +3 Super Effective Dragon Claw. Give me my 8 trillion XP. After getting through yet another wave of confusion spam, I took a minute to focus. It's easy to get lost in the Bulbapedia research, the theory crafting, the damage calculations, move planning, resource management, streaming, tending to my 2 very dedicated chatters at the time, this new record on my shoulders, and oh my god, I just almost died to foul play. The first actual close call in almost 50 floors, and I realized then and there this record is now mine to fumble, mine to lose, and mine to make the most out of. I need to focus, as I'm only halfway done with this monumental challenge. Speaking of floor 50, new Pokemon time. Like any election, there's plenty of options, plenty of hopefuls, but only 2 are going to be considered, if we're going to be honest. I narrowed down to Weezing and Fortress. Weezing is quite the beefcake, and while I already ignore ground types with Dragonite, there's really no harm in another ground immunity. He has great TM access, I can use a Black Sludge that I picked up earlier, just an overall solid pick. Fortress is, well, he's a Steel type. That's pretty much it. While Fortress has great utility options in a competitive environment, it doesn't offer me much outside of an emergency switch-in. But when I switch into Fortress, then what? Will I Volt Switch back into an actual threat? I might as well have an all-in-one package. But like any good story, there's plenty of details, plenty of characters, but you'll always remember a good twist. I picked Drapion. Drapion's not as bulky as Fortress or Weezing, but the power difference is more than noticeable. I can get all the Elemental Fangs for free from the move tutor as relearns, and I grab Home Claws. Okay, wait, why am I explaining this? I explained it better on stream. Roll the clip. So I can teach it like Hone Claws, Poison Fang, Crunch, and then like Thunder Fang or Fire Fang or something. Probably Thunder Fang to cover the water types, or like a water ice type like Lapras or something. And it'll have Black Sludge. Like Wheezing would require like money investment, while Drapion comes like built in with just I have to just go to the move relearner on floor 60 and he's like set up. And he'll have battle armor likely. Ooh. While Drapion comes in at level 50, matching the floor I'm on, the amount of mileage that Dragonite is getting has put me already 6 levels ahead of the curve. And I'm still rocking the amulet coin, so money's plentiful. I take another trip to Popeye's and grab some iron supplements for Big Pickle, using the last bit of EV cap I have for raw defense. My thought process was the following. I only have 60 EVs to spare. Where should I put it? My initial idea was maybe more HP, but I had an idea. Unfortunately, nearly 150 EVs were wasted into special attack, special defense, and speed. All my moves are physical, so special attack is useless. And special defense, while it sounds nice, it's kind of a waste. I should never be eating an Icy Wind, a Blizzard, or an Ice Beam attack outside of just the one afforded to me by multiscale. And I have no use for speed investments, as I'm already clicking Dragon Dance twice or thrice a battle, which puts me even faster than Deoxys speed. During my descent, I naturally picked up 111 attack EVs, which I would say is a little lucky. Therefore, I thought it was wise to put the rest into defense, as a lot of common moves are physical, like Slam, Crunch, Quick Attack, Slash, the list truly goes on and on. I also need to be able to tank a Stone Edge, a Rock Slide, and the rare Dragon Claw or Dragon Rush as safely as possible. If I can tank one of those and still have enough HP left to roost back to multiscale, I can then theoretically not have to worry about Rock-type Pokemon, as I'm already worrying about Dragons and Ice types. Now that I write out this script, I realize it's a tiny optimization, but even if you're completely tuned out with me in the background and you're just cleaning your room or something, believe me, this will come up again later. Right after all this planning, thinking, number crunching, I got hit by 2 major surprises. First, the Zigzagoon event. This is the only random event in this version of the pit, 1.8, and it's quite the doozy. You can spend to skip floors, or only pay $500 to throw one of my beloved Pokemon into the void of Wonder Traits. Now, unfortunately, this isn't your copy of Scarlet or Violet, so I won't be getting a perfect shiny Tyranitar from Zacian.net or whatever. So, this is a pretty heavy gamble. Your first impulse might be to yell at me to skip the floors, just to push the record. But it's a double-edged sword. Sure, I get to jump the record up and up. I even get a rare candy on the house just for using the event. But I miss out on 2 of the most valuable resources, XP and raw cash. One measly rare candy won't make up for losing out on 5 trainers worth of XP, which now that we're past floor 50, that translates to 25 Pokemon, at least. So, we roll the dice, and get rewarded with nature's trash aficionado, a pigeon. Oh well. And the second surprise, it's a bit more exciting. Oh, hello, Mr. Raccoon. Leftovers! Holy fuck, I'm gonna come in my pants. Oh my god. Oh my fucking god, dude. We've just leveled up from we got the record to this is the run. Leftovers is an absolute game changer. I am now far less reliant on healing items and roost, and in rare situations, I can even passively recover back into the multi-scale. I stash it in the bag quick, but I'm not going to use it just yet. I want to build a nice nest egg of cash before switching out of the amulet coin. Regardless, this is a huge win. Huge. Then I hit floor 59. Ice types are scary, but none are scarier than Frostlass. At exactly level 59, Frostlass learns Destiny Bond, which combine that with Hail, Blizzard, and Priority Ice Shard. This is my worst nightmare. Normally, Pokemon's abilities have little influence on how I navigate the pit, but Frostlass can either have Snow Cloak, making it have a passive chance to dodge any one of my moves. While that's scary enough as it is, this Frostlass could also be holding a Bright Powder, making the accuracy penalty worse, Or something even more sinister, like a focus sash, letting it tank my move and take Big Pickle with it. But this is no time to stress just yet. There's still a clean way to get through this fight. After sacking 2 of my Pokemon and tons of careful positioning and a couple calculations, and of course a couple healing items for good use, I go for my Fire Punch, and it misses. I still don't know if this is Snow Cloak or if this is Bright Powder and Cursed Body, and I'm just panicking. But I have one out. Frostlass has only 5 blizzards, and when it runs out, it's resorted to using the very weak 40 base power Ice Shards. Through those, I can heal up with Roost, and thankfully, connect to Fire Punch. Finally. The run is still alive, but instead of a marathon, I'm now limping. While Growlithe normally isn't the scariest Pokemon, this one has Life Orb, and it tries to take out my kneecap with a critical hit from a recently learned Outrage. I just hope my luck isn't bad enough for another crit, so I stand tall, and Roost not twice, but thrice, and thankfully, the Outrage runs out. That's the 3rd bullet I've dodged with this run. Before the casing even hits the floor, I walk into a 4th bullet. With only Big Pickle and Cloyster still alive, I'm facing down a lead Beartic. While thinking this is just the end, I realize my RNG might not be as bad as I thought, as Beartic locks itself into using Thrash, and he's holding a Sticky Barb, which damages him turn after turn. I've been gifted a timer, and I use it to its full potential. I set up 2 Dragon Dances and sit on roost after roost until Beartic digs its own grave. While I think now I'm definitely out of the weeds, there's a Dugong that follows close behind. With more Dragon Dances, I just barely confirm the KO on Dugong and close out the fight. After the onslaught of ice types, I'm now farther than even I expected. Floor 60 is not only a large milestone, but a massive overhaul for the team. Going back to the move tutor, Drapion learns Home Claws and Thunderfang. I give Slacking and Drapion more protein than an Arby's lunch rush, and I fully transition into the late game, swapping Amulet Coin for leftovers onto Big Pickle. We're done building, and we're definitely done hoarding. It's time to close this run out. But it's definitely not going to get any easier. At floor 61, I've already passed the 4-hour mark into this run. Outside, the sun is starting to set, and I've canceled my plans for the rest of the night. This is probably the best run I will ever see. I will see floor 100, and I will take down the final boss and be the first champion of the pit. Oh hey, another Zigzagoon. I pray to all the Gooner gods that I get something better than Pheasant. The Gooner gods, thankfully, listen, and grant me another flying type. But better. This is a Tinted Lens Yanmega, being able to hit decently well even against targets that resist its moves. Knowing this, I start to think about my move slots, think about the EVs, and I head on to the next floor and, another Goon. Feeling blessed, I roll the dice. But did you notice something? While Alakazam was terribly behind in levels, the Unfezant caught up surprisingly quick while barely ever seeing a full battle. There was a slight oversight in the balancing of the pit and in hard mode. The bonus XP that you get with traded Pokemon actually makes up for any hard mode debuff, and then some. So if you weren't convinced on Wonder Trade, now you are. Now, let's see what the gods above grant us. So yeah, that's pretty good. I'm pretty happy. It's not the best ice type switch in, but I'll figure it out. I'm blessed with a visit from my fat son Lexington as a morale boost for chat and of course myself, and I take that momentum and burn through the next 9 floors in record time. But hey, enough of that positivity. That's boring. It's hour 5 of the run, and I'm not only hungry, but I'm getting tired. What originally was supposed to be just a quick afternoon stream has now drawn on well into the evening. And as anyone knows, that's when you start to make mistakes. And then finally, I get, it's Scarf? Dude, what? Scared the crap out of me. Okay, I can roost on this, right? That was Scarf. Now you might say, the Scarf isn't under my control, but in no scenario should I ever stay in on a hustle-boosted Outrage, regardless of mischance. Those defense investments from earlier Those 60 EVs, those saved me. Those 60 extra EVs turned my Dragonite killing mistake into a Dragonite killing mistake 43% of the time. And that is the 5th bullet dodged. Sure, I mean, if you dig into my bag, I still have 5 max revives and plenty of healing, but the amount I would have to burn if that roll went wrong, I don't even want to think about it. After a deep breath, I recalibrate and tear through floor after floor after floor, and I hit another massive milestone. 75. Alright, let's see what our final Pokemon is. Something to face tank ice and water types. Nope. 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 Maybe. I'm torn between Ditto and Emboar, because Emboar will resist ice types and threaten them really hard, but Ditto, theoretically, always beats ice types, and I have Choice Scarf. So if I run into this really fictional situation where something is setting up and I can't kill it with Dragonite, I can sack something, Ditto copy it. Also, I don't think Ditto requires that much XP either, while Emboar would require a fair amount. Let me see what Emboar would have this late in the game. My setup would be like Heat Crash, Arm Thrust, Flame Charge, Rollout, right from the relearn. So I think I'm going to go Ditto, because Ditto requires 0 investment, 0 money. I slap a Choice Scarf on him and I call it a day. It's Limber! Oh my god, this thing is useless! Oh, you poor, tired schmuck. I spent another chunk of change to boost some special defense on Drapion and Slacking, trying to beef them up against the oncoming Ice Beams and Blizzards, which is the best solution I have right now. Now I'm crawling through the floors, but I'm burning through daylight, and I'm rapidly approaching hour 6 of the stream. There is an end in sight. It's either going to be by a wipe or by floor 100. Now, as much as everything looks great, anything can happen. And lately, it's been too easy and too quiet. It's floor 80. Dragonite is now 10 levels ahead, at level 90, and I just taught the Kecleon Rock Slide. I have this useless Ditto who's basically a free sack, a Cloyster without Shell Smash, an underleveled Slacking, and then Drapion, sure, but after 80 straight floors of boosting and looting, I have enough Ethers, Elixirs, Revives, full heals, and just random one-off items for Big Pickle to potentially solo the rest of this challenge, if we have to. After clearing floor 81, I am granted the best held item in any hard run, the Lucky Egg. Now, this Dragonite, of course, is already far, far ahead in levels, not to mention the leftovers is just too good to give up. I give Slacking the egg. He was getting little mileage out of Choice Scarf, and somehow I never found a Choice Band. So in this case, I'd rather get the most out of his insane base stats, and get him as leveled up as fast as possible. I finally hit hour 6 on the stream, and I'm greeted with some absolutely beautiful RNG from this Quillfish. Masterful work with that poison jab, just truly mind-blowing stuff. Now, I want to take you into a bit of Pokemon trivia. Which one of these moves does Kangaskhan learn by level up? Is it A, Giga Impact? Is it B, Outrage? Is it C, Body Slam? Or is it D, Dynamic Punch? I'll give you a second to mull it over. If you answered B, the Dragon-type move Outrage, you would have completely avoided the following situation. Because right then and there, I learned that Kangaskhan gets Outrage by level up. A crit never kills me here. But that's just a fun bit of trivia for everyone. Let's fast forward a bit. It's kind of strange, isn't it? Everything's going well. I'm rolling great matchups. I'm seeing almost no ice types. Most big threats are coming out late in the battles after I've already set up and getting packed up by a +3 or a +4 Dragon Claw. I'm keeping my smile, I'm keeping up my positivity. This keeps the energy up internally, and of course externally. But I know that deep down, in the depths of my limbic system, that it cannot go well this long. Something has to give. But when will it happen? We're now 7 floors away from total victory. It's floor 93. And this little schoolboy here, he has a lead Zekrom. I never, either on stream or even in the script, wanted to utter its name. But Zekrom, that's the run killer. Being a box legendary of this generation, Zekrom sports some of the highest base attack, solid bulk, and almost enough speed to rush down Big Pickle. Sure, stats are one thing, but it's the Terravolt that scares me. Terravolt is identical to Mold Breaker. Both are abilities that completely ignore your abilities. But because Zekrom is a special boy, he gets a special ability name. Don't worry about it. Therefore, Multiscale, that's now completely ignored. And Zekrom is the only Pokemon in this challenge who can threaten to outright KO Big Pickle. Thankfully, I have a 7-level gap and just enough defensive investments that this Zekrom can't get the kill on me. Of course, a crit, well, that would be a KO and then some, but we dodged that 6th bullet. I can't afford to switch it onto Zekrom, as I have no answer to it other than Big Pickle. Now, if that same Zekrom showed up just a few floors later, we would have been kissing this run goodbye. A couple of levels would have pushed it over the edge and took me right out. But now, all I need to beat it is some careful positioning and a few sacks for good measure. And thankfully, Schoolboy Paul, he has nothing left for me but a very predictable exploding Azelf and a backline of just pure setup fodder. Floor 94 has only one trainer, so we're graced with our final pit stop just a bit earlier than expected. This is gonna happen. But I make another mistake. Not only do I let Big Pickle face tank a head smash from a Relicanth, but this is also the same turn that Jirachi's Doom Desire is gonna proc. And Big Pickle goes down. But this is no sweat. I have 8 max revives. Now pair that with a full team of 6, this was actually completely recoverable. And honestly, now reading it out, this might not even been worth mentioning. But what it was my last and final wake-up call. There are only 3 floors left. And while traversing the final floors, I did burn up some minor healing items and a few regular revives, just to squeeze the most XP I can from the trainers into my other 5 Pokemon. I'm trying to get any last edge remaining before the final fight. My team was still woefully unprepared for a major Ice-type threat, and that Zekrom was a grim reminder of how I can easily run into another, or worse. Kyurem Black, Kyurem again maybe even both of them and Zekrom, or actually all 3 of them and a Frostlass? A man can only dream. Sure, I wasted a couple items, but what would it matter if I lost it all in the 100th trial, the final fight? I had to go all in. The extra special defense and XP pay off quick, as on floor 98, my slacking face tanks Dragon Pulse from a very scary lead Latios. The AI pivots quickly, signifying to me that this is probably a choice Scarf, but regardless, not much can threaten a fully invested level 100 slacking at this point in the game. While not a perfect team, I do have a response for almost everything. And that's good enough for me, and clearly it's good enough for this run. While packed, floor 98 is not much to worry about, but on the dawn of hour 7, I was handed an overwhelmingly large gift. Lexington returns, as I am so close to victory, and blesses me with his soft fur and big kitty belly to ease my mind and calm the nerves. I used that break to take a breather, and the support from my very large son helped me properly handle a Rock Blast Armaldo, and then Lexington's sheer intimidating size and presence made Tyranitar miss a Stone Edge, giving me one last turn to set up Dragon Dance and blowing it to smithereens, letting me sweep the second last trainer. After distributing a few minor heals and finalizing my held items, I approached the final trainer of floor 99. A lead-off Hydreigon has me instantly pivoting to Cloyster. This helps me tank Outrage and threatens a KO back with Icicle Spear. But the damage is just too much. He can't tank another. I'm panicking again, and I try and use modern-day strats to stall out Outrage, completely forgetting that in Generation 5, it only makes the pain worse. Hydreigon rages and rages on, and Cloyster pays the price for my lack of focus. I fish for a Confusion self-hit, as it's little drawback if it fails, and I get one last good bit of RNG. I capitalize as best as I can, tanking another set of outrages from Gramble, and finally getting my broom and my dustpan together to sweep one last trainer. We can now move on and see what is waiting to greet us on floor 100. Heading down, this looks no different from floors 1 through 99, but to my surprise, I do actually get one last chance to swap a Pokemon. With Ditto being, well, a limber Ditto, I jump at the opportunity, and I find it. My ever-elusive Steel type, Magneton. It's now time to burn the last of my hard-earned Pokédollars and gear up for the final fight. After mulling it over and doing a little bit of calculations, I spent the last of my money to evolve Magneton into Magnezone. While Eviolite Magneton does have more bulk going for it, I preferred the stronger special attack so I could threaten out waters and ice types much more quickly. And I paid out the nose for a Volt Switch TM just to at least keep it active and somewhat malleable in battle. I used my entire rare candy collection to get slacking one level shy away from 100. And after plenty of stalling and over-preparing, it was time for the final battle. After 7 hours and 17 minutes of grinding floor after floor, dodging crits, planning out items, move lists, EVs, weighing every decision possible for even the slightest edge on this AI, and of course clicking Dragon Dance a lot, this all amounted to this final boss. Big Pickle has gotten me this far. What's just one more fight?
Every single damage roll, make sure I don't die to any random crits. There's Hyper Beam. This is going to do like 100 damage tops through multi-scale. But 150 because it was a crit, so that's huge. That's a crit out of the fucking way. Alright. I'm sorry, I'm just going to explode. This mod is so underwhelming. It doesn't do anything good. Other than have access to a bunch of good moves, that's all it has. We're going to go all the way to +6. I don't want anything stopping me in my tracks. I believe we are out of all but one crit range right now. No, I think it's still 2 crit ranges. Nelly! Nelly wants to be here. Come here, Nelly. Come here, baby. If you want to be on camera, now's the time. We're about to win. We're about to be the first person in the world to beat this game on hard mode. We totally just didn't abuse Dragonite. And then we Dragon Dance one last time, and then we start clicking moves. Okay. Are you ready? One mon down. Alright. There's very few things out there that can stop a +6 Dragonite. Wordier? How is Wordier in this game? Yo, this is not a Gen 5 Pokemon. Gen 9 Mons leaking into Gen 5. Some of the moves earlier weren't Gen 5 either. True, I ran into that problem earlier. But like, you as the player can't access them, but some of the Mons learn them for sure. Some of them. It seems to be not consistent. Okay, now it's Rhyperior. Is Rhyperior Space Tank, or does Rhyperior Chungus Flop? It's a roll. That's insanity. This mon is so beefy. Not today. Oh, cool. Second to blinded. Garchomp? No chomp. And it wasn't even. It was like Sand Force. It wasn't even rough skin. Blissey! LMFAO. LMFAO Blissey. LMFAO! Yeah, nice. And the last one's Kyogre. We fucking won, dude! Oh, no more fucking horseshit Quick Claw Groudon. No more crit, Poison Para, Confusion Flinch. Straight sweep. Get fucking shit on. I own this fucking game. It took me 3 fucking days to beat this hard mode game. Holy fuck, I'm the GOAT. No one else has even come close. The former record was 40 or 42. Now it's 100.
And there you have it, the golden run. I dodged all 6 bullets before, and I'm staring down a revolver with an empty chamber. There's no lead-off tricks, no RNG items. Nothing can stop me and Big Pickle from claiming what's rightfully ours. After banging my head against the wall in Gen 9 hard mode day after day, I pivoted to Generation 5 and get a first try, full completion of one of the hardest ROM hacks that I have at least ever touched. This is a massive accomplishment in many ways, and a journey that no one, not even me, expected to complete this early. But here we are, at the top of the mountain. But it didn't end there. You see, this hack doesn't truly end at floor 100. You're actually more than welcome to push your team and your bag to the limit and see to what point does it really end. Now, I already didn't expect to get past floor 50, let alone win, so I assumed with most of my money spent, I had maybe 10 or 20 floors left in me. With a nearly 8-hour stream under my belt, I'm tired, I'm hungry, I closed shop for the day, and I decided to tackle it on my own only a few days later. While the Pit is one of the most polished ROM hacks that I've played in a long time, it had one slight issue. You see, the Generation 3 and 5 rule sets aren't hard-coded, they're patch limitations. The hack still has data from the modern-day repository, PRET. I'll save you the deep technical rundown and just explain the 2 problems that it gave me. The first, which is what we already saw, were some weird inconsistencies in move options and some minor interactions. There's no real problem there. The second, which was quite major and much more glaring, was the fully evolved clause. At floor 100 and beyond, all trainers have this clause ticked and activated, and have fully evolved Pokemon no matter what. That explains the Weirdeer that we saw earlier in the Archie fight. And it also caused me to run into Ursalunas, King Gambits, Annihilapes, and other Nintendo Switch era Pokemon. This was extremely hard to navigate around, but not impossible. I won't go into insane detail about all the floors I grinded through post 100, but I'll give you a visual summary.
I ball like a Laker, ball like a Laker. Ball, I got my golden goal. I got my golden goal. I ball like a Laker. I blow up like a landmine. I ball on them like your...
Ignoring the evolved clause and all the uncharted territory, the true problems quickly became clear. Those 24 Dragon Claws were no longer enough. I was constantly facing down trainers with 6 fully evolved, level 100 Pokemon. If you do the math, I only have 48 attacks between heals, and that meant that even my best case scenario, I still needed to burn ethers and elixirs after only 8 trainers. This wasn't sustainable. I opted to switch out Dragon Claw for Outrage and max it out to 16 uses. Because Outrage is always a 2 to 3 turn move, that meant I was effectively getting 32 to 48 attacks instead of Claw's 24. Now, of course, the drawback is I have to fight through confusion at the end, but I had an answer to that now. That was actually given to me long ago. Somewhere in my descent, I picked up a Yellow Flute. Now, if you were to load up Pokemon Black or White today, you would know that the Yellow Flute is simply an item to sell. But in previous generations, the Yellow Flute's actually a reusable confusion breaker. Sure, I had to take a turn and therefore tank a hit, but it was actually a much more effective solution than praying for endless ethers and elixirs, because those run out quickly. I hit floor 125, but unfortunately no worthy Pokemon showed up in the briefcase, so I continued on. As I descended and healed and tried my best to manage my items, I got to floor 150, and I let Kecleon go, in favor of Rotom Wash. This was an outright better solution against ice types, with its bulky stats and its water typing, but of course, it still struggled against many other heavy hitters. But hey, it's better than Kecleon, believe me. After all these optimizations, I still couldn't make up for such a massive difficulty spike, especially one I could never expect. Now, with hundreds of first stage or second stage Pokemon are missing, I had far less opportunities to set up for free. All Magbies are now Magmortars, all Machokes are now Machamps, and all the baby ice types are now fully evolved, run-ending Dream Killers. All those times I got to set up Dragon Dance 2 or 3 times for free with no real threat barely existed. I was now far more likely to run into a run killer or just something that forces me to switch out and rely on the rest of my team. Funny enough, the only thing that kept this run alive was Zigzagoon. After picking up Rotom Wash and feeding it some vitamins and 1 or 2 TMs, I had absolute no use for money and a ton of sellable loot. Every last dollar I had went to skipping anywhere from 15 to 20 floors, because frankly I just lost count. And all those rare candies are now replenished and I can now use them like revives, giving me just a little bit more fuel to my slowly dying campfire. I put the run down for a few days, but eventually, of course, I had to come back and finish what I started. It was pushing 2 in the morning, and I was descending to floor 184. Now, I got beat up on floors 181 through 183. There was Elite Curums, yes, that's plural, Encore Locks, Paralysis Spam, and just other ungodly Pokemon horrors. But I'm facing down the last trainer before my rest stop. All I have left on me is Dragonite, a pretty bruised up Magnezone, and not much else. I pray for just one easy matchup, and my heart drops as a lead Terrakion stares me down. With only 1 max revive in my bag and a scarce amount of strong heals, I have no choice but to try and pivot around it. Thankfully, I find a way to squeeze past this Terrakion, and unfortunately, Mold Breaker Haxorus stopped me dead in my tracks. With no multi-scale to protect me, and Magnezone having no way to threaten this monstrous Godzilla in front of me, I was finally cornered. After ducking and weaving through an additional 80 floors, what little luck I was granted came back with interest owed. And the game decided that right here, right now, I need to pay up. With no options left, all my healing items used, Big Pickle takes one last hit and falls. The screen fades to black, and the Hall of Fame music creeps in. And with a final score of floor 184 and 10 real-life hours invested, the run is finally over. And that was the story of how I set an unbreakable world record, all thanks to one Dragonite. If you made it all the way to the end of the video, you're either dead asleep or an absolute beast. Either way, thank you so much for watching this far, and make sure to click all the shiny buttons below to show your support. While this was all live streamed here on YouTube, I have moved over to Twitch recently, so if you want to see me tackle any future challenges, the link will be in the description. See you next time.